everybody, good evening and welcome to That's Football for another big game. It's Newcastle against Brighton and looking forward to this one. Got to say, looking forward to this one. Massive game for Newcastle, as we know. They're trying to get top four, but Brighton's going to be a really difficult game for them. Really difficult game. Superb in a lot of away games this season, none more so than Arsenal last week. So it's going to be huge, and I just wonder how Newcastle are going to deal with this. We're very close to the start of the game, so look, I'm all for it. I don't, normally these games are kicking off at 8 o'clock. We're kicking off at 7:30 here, which big shout out to Robert McCormack for messaging me today and telling me that. We're sponsored by Manscaped, by the way. Fans, give us your thoughts. But for such a great he's goal! It's a goal for Newcastle. It's gone in off Casido. He's flicked it into his own net. It's 1-0 to Newcastle. It's a big goal. Their pressure has told in this first 22 minutes. They wanted that first goal. They needed that first goal. And they have that first goal. Fortuitous in a sense. But it's not been a great start by Brighton. And Newcastle have made them play with the pressure. I want to talk about who you think Newcastle should buy in the summer, what positions. But I think it goes in off Undav, actually, on the front post. Very unlucky. Yeah, he's flicked it in. They're looking at him. Yeah, he's made a mistake there. He shouldn't be heading that. He shouldn't be heading that. He's not under any pressure. Never, ever, ever. If you're on the front post and it's too high, don't flick it. Red cards in Premier League who, says Charlie. There could be a penalty here. Well, that's a penalty. That's a penalty on Callum Wilson if they look at it. He didn't get the ball. I only saw it once. A lot of people saying dive. He dived. Never a penalty. I only saw it from that angle because I was too busy talking to you lot. But a lot of people saying it was a dive. I will listen to you. I will listen to you. It should be booked then. I'll wait a bit. This just shows you patience, doesn't it? Almiron spins his man down the right-hand side. Space to run into. Got an overlap with Trippier. Gives it to Trippier. Cross comes in. Lovely cross from Trippier. No one there to tap it in. Isaac runs after it and gets it back on the left-hand side into Dan Burn. But I said this somewhere. I said Newcastle have now kicked Spurs out of the traditional top six. And a lot of Spurs fans, some would say quite rightly, have said we've not been kicked out of the traditional top six when we finished in the top six numerous times over the last 7 years. But I will be proved right. You will be out of the top six as things stand. Under your current ownership, you are Beyonce FC. That's what your business model is. Spurs cannot compete with Arsenal, clearly. They certainly can't compete with Man City and Chelsea because they don't have the money. Newcastle as well. That leaves Man United and Liverpool. Spurs can't compete with Liverpool, and Man United potentially could be sorting themselves out as well. So I think Spurs are out of the top six now. The traditional top six, obviously, it's the traditional top six, but I think you can already say that Newcastle ain't going to leave. They're not a flash. And Newcastle have scored from the free kick to make it 2-0. It's Dan Burn. And that will feel like an absolute huge goal for Newcastle. Almiron's going mad. This is Champions League football for Newcastle. If they win this game, they've just got to beat Leicester and they cannot be caught. That's a dagger through the heart of Liverpool's top four hopes. Dan Burn, enjoy it while you can. You won't be there in 2 years. But you can always say you were the start of the journey. You scored a goal that helped Newcastle to the Champions League. He'll be playing for Preston in a couple of years. But he's part of the history of this club. Definitely onside. Big towering header. That's how you finish. Have you heard of Australian Football League? Says Kin. Care about that stuff. I've got to be honest. I don't really play Football Manager. Oh, here we go. Great save by Steele. And over onto the roof of the box. What a miss by Almiron. What a save by the keeper. That should have been 3-0. That should have been game over. Ryan says Brighton look awful. They really do. They really do. I mean, that's well onside by Almiron. You'd expect him to score. It's a sitter. It's an absolute sitter. Keeper makes a good save, but you got to score that. Why isn't Casido playing in the midfield? Good question, JJ. They're hanging on here, Brighton. Although, one on one, he's got to score. He has! It's 2-1! Oh my God, and it's Undav. Game on! Game on! Let's play darts. It's a cracking goal. It's a great ball by Gilmore, and Undav. Game on. What a ball by Gilmore. Is he on? Ooh. It's hard to say if he's onside. I thought he was on. Brilliant ball by Gilmore, but I don't know whether Undav's on or not. They're looking at VAR, possible offside. Definitely on, says Dylan. It's hard to tell. The angle's hard to tell. You never know. I can't tell. Yeah, he's miles on. He's actually miles on. Look, you just don't know, do you? He's miles on. He's miles on, I'm telling you. 2-1. And I tell you what, is that not the Premier League this season, apart from Man City? Almiron, absolute sitter to make it 3-0. Brighton go down the other end, 2-1. Here is Almiron. Good cross. Oh, Wilson. I'll tell you what, it's a cracking second half. It's a cracking second half. Another good save from Steele. Newcastle are pushing for that third goal, which at this stage would probably do it. I mean, look, I've got to be honest. Brighton are in with a puncher's chance, as they call it in boxing, but Newcastle have been the better side. I agree with Savage. Brighton are hanging on here. Their keeper's had a good game. Newcastle have been the better side tonight. Like, they do deserve to win, but you don't always get what you deserve. Do you prefer mashed potatoes? You like going to tropical islands, says CIA? Oh, headed just wide from Enciso. Newcastle need to be wary here. They do need to be wary. How do you play the last 20 minutes if you're Newcastle? I think you've got to keep attacking. You can't sit back. Rabbit pie is pretty good, says Dominic. Callum Wilson's on a one-on-one and he's onside. Steele, you need to close the gap. He scores. Was he onside? If he was, that's the Champions League firmly in grasp of the tune. He looks like he's happy. He looks like he's onside. I think it's over. That's Champions League football. Let's have a look. Almiron. He looks onside to me. He looks onside to me. Unless we've got a bad camera angle, he looks onside to me. Good finish. Long way to run. Brighton, surprising. Oh, it could be 4. It should be 4. It is 4. Ah, what is it about? Arsenal fans must be bloody fuming. The game before they play Arsenal, they get beat 5-1 by Everton. They beat Arsenal comprehensively. Then they go to Newcastle and they lose 4-1. It's Arsenal fans must just be sat there going, why did they turn up against us? Look, Newcastle have been very good tonight. They've deserved to win 4-1. They've been the better side throughout 90 minutes. But Brighton were much better than this on Sunday. They've been dreadful tonight. You've got to give a lot of that credit to Newcastle, of course, and they deserve it over the whole season. But interesting to see if Bruno Guimaraes will stay at Newcastle. I don't see any reason.